Okay.
Hello and welcome to the Comedian's Paradise. This is a podcast where we get an inside scoop of comedy scenes from across the globe and we speak to mavericks of the comedy scene. Now today's guest has come all the way from the USSR and is conquering the British shores. She is a lover of Shakespeare. She is a force of nature. She is an amazing comedian. Please start clapping and cheering and welcome the amazing, the substantially conquering Helen Prior.
Come on, I need to go to the mirror and see if I'm really amazing. Well, I can amaze some few people, but not know in a good way or in a bad way. It took me 30 years amazing my own husband until he put up with all that different culture clash.
Is he British or is he?
He's very English, real descendant of William of Normandy.
Oh, is he a fish and chips man, Helen, or is he like full English breakfast? Is he
He's chips, but not fish. He's no. He called himself a gravel scratcher.
What?
That's how he defines himself.
Fair enough.
Well, I think it's granite scratcher, but he thinks it's gravel scratcher.
What would you define yourself as, Helen?
Well, an old woman who wants to live like a princess and try everything in life possible before she dropped dead.
That sounds good. So you're Indiana Jones of comedy.
I did. You know, I'm a cancer survivor, so I'm now 7 years clean of cancer, thanks God. But after I've been kind of on a border between life and death, I actually rethought everything, and I enjoyed this. My last 7 years was full of fun and adventures. Believe me, that's why I'm laughing, because otherwise I have to cry. So I decided not to cry. I decided to laugh. And my book, by the way, which you mentioned before, is actually about thrill of life after cancer, because I actually done things I never thought I'm able to do. You know, I was born with one leg shorter than the other. I became a world champion in ballroom dancing. I'm dyslexic. I can't, sometimes, you know, I'm a horrible dyslexic. I'm PhD, and I also learned to fly a plane, even I was afraid of heights before. It's all cancer after, because you know, when you're on the border of the life and death, you really start appreciating everything. I also appreciated young men. It's happened after cancer. Well, my husband not here anyway, you know, so I tried everything, which I thought already was not available. You know, there you are.
Good. And the dog approves. That's why he barks.
I think you're numb. You're numb. I can see you're numb. How old are you, Murray? How old are you?
I'm Asian, so we age gracefully like fine wine. I am early 30s, but I look like I'm 18 or early 20s.
Oh, really? You look younger. I thought you're 22, 23.
Sometimes I think that when I look in the mirror.
Well preserved.
Yes, I've lived a very acquired life. So if you want any anti-aging cream, I'll take my blood and I'll spread it around. Okay.
You know, I don't even want any more anti-aging cream because I started loving myself. I don't care anymore if men notice me or they don't notice me. I just love myself and I love what I'm doing, you know.
That's a big thing with women as a whole. That, I mean, this is going to get me cancelled now, but like a big part of like ladies want to look attractive. That's why they put a lot of makeup on. They want to be noticed. It's a big part of, especially when they're young, their value.
Well, shall I tell you? When I was 30, I actually cried on my birthday. I thought I was very old and past my birthday, you know. When I was 40 at my birthday, I was worried that my husband was cheating on me because my Ukrainian granny used to say, the best woman is a new one. When I was 50, bloated from menopause, I was depressed. That's when I was worried. And I realized the man actually doesn't notice me at all. Well, I passed 60 now, darling. I don't care, you man, if you notice me or you don't. That's the complete freedom. I don't need your bulldozers and excavators. I turned my desert into a beautiful nature resort, you know, peaceful. There you are. So life is beautiful.
So you're saying that we men, we bring a lot of problems.
Well, in 50s, that's the problem of women, because they still feel women. They're still menstruating a bit to the last drop, and they still want some men. But when I passed this age over 60, I realized that I don't care. For me, man or woman, as I said, I want gender fluid in the whole world, and I love myself, So I enjoy what I want to enjoy. I don't care what men think about me. If it's man or woman, my audience makes no difference.
But and you went and entered into the comedy world, where it's a big part of a lot of people in it. We care a lot about what people think. Like, we're very cautious
No,
about
I
what
think
we say.
about people, what they think, my audience, but I'm saying I don't care whether the audience is female or male. It doesn't any more gender for me difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not bothered by a lot of.
Of course, I care
things.
about audience. Of course, I come there. If audience doesn't laugh, laugh. There's no performance. That's the worst thing for the comic, when you have an audience numb.
Oh, I was talking about the circuit.
Not very often.
I was talking about the circuit and what people think of you, and like where people are tremendously cautious about how they come across
I'm sure
with
they
each
don't
other.
think too much good about me. Yeah.
I
better don't think what they think about me, because that might upset me. Yeah.
But it is a circuit, and we, as comedians, there's a lot of people in it. We're very concerned about what people in the circuit think of us, or how we get perceived. We're at the stage where we're terrified of saying the wrong thing and getting cancelled. A lot of us, as comedians, we're living in a bit of a state of fear to an extent. But then again, yeah, I'd say that.
Well, darling, there's two things. First of all, of course, at your age, you want to build your career like a comedian, so you do care. Well, what career do I build? I live today. If I live today, next year, and maybe another year, so I don't worry, about, if somebody doesn't like me or doesn't book me, and another thing, basically, if I do want to do it, I can do it myself to become a promoter, and get actors but I just, I got other pursuits as well, so I'm not really killing myself on that. I've got other interests, so I'm not worried much if I upset somebody. Surely I did.
Comedy is not your main, like, you enjoy doing it and you work harder and you enjoy it fun, but it's not like the sole thing.
Well, what I would say, comedy is so little paid. I mean, you have to be a mega star to actually earn decent living. I'm earning like a guide and doing also a job which I love in National Gallery, British Museum, and I'm paid 10 times more than comedians, It's so from the point of view of finances, it's just uncomparable. So also, there's a lot of disappointment. For example, in October, I had 3 gigs. One, I came and it was completely canceled because there was no audience. The second, and it was actually professionally booked by a professional promoter, which occasionally gives very good gigs. Nobody, no audience, not one. Second, I came, there was 5 people in the audience. When the first comedian done his gig, they all left. So, and then the last one, I also driven about 100 miles. There was 5 drunk people in a pub, and they don't care at all whether it was me or somebody else. And what I was saying, they were talking to each other, And then I had to drive another 100 miles back home, and it doesn't even pay for your petrol.
Which gigs were these? No, I'm joking. Don't say the name. Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it. I'm joking. I'm
not telling you, but this was in 1 month, After that, you just don't want to drive. You don't want to do anything. So I'm now not choosing anywhere too far away, because, if I know it's a very good gig, I will go. But there's no any guarantees, even when you're booked by a very good promoter. I don't know why, but that's what happens. So for me, it's not something I'm kind of dying every day to do. I would love to do good gigs, but I hated this last month. These 3 times I went, and for me, it's driving, more than an hour, 1.5, sometimes 2 hours, one way, and then having that, you become impotent. That's how, it's like a man become impotent when we see a woman which just doesn't want anything. Nobody wants anything. You're just not wanted. There you are.
What is with so you do a lot of gigs and you do a lot of things, but what do you make of comedian as a whole? How would you describe us? Because a lot of people say that comedians are very sensitive.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's not every comedian is my kind of thing. You know, I like very sharp, politically charged people, but also sometimes they're too much left for me. I find, you know, recently I've been at some event and somebody was talking about landlords, how horrible they are. They should be hanged. And I thought, bloody hell, you're probably renting somewhere and not paying for a year. I was thinking about that guy who was giving this gig, you know. So it's not always kind of people which is kind of my people, but sometimes I find it's fantastic and find somebody who's learning from them as well, you know. Like I do sometimes very good from there's a really top comedians there with me, and I learn how they work with crowd and everything, you know. So it's interesting. It's always interesting. Sometimes I meet very interesting people. Sometimes I wonder why these people have agent and I don't, because they never get any laugh. So it's all kind of experience, you know. I find interesting. So what do I think? I mean, sometimes I like people, and when people nice to you, I like them, and people feel not nice to you, I don't like them. It's very simple as that. I came across very nice people in comedy as well, you know.
Yeah, what people complain about comedy being like comedians being horrible, complain about the circuit being horrible. They talk about all these things around it being dodgy or horrible, but through other jobs that I've worked in, I've come across a lot of arseholes and a lot of nice people. And to be honest, I don't see the horribleness of comedians to be just the same as some of the bad places I've worked in. They're the same sort of. Like
well, I agree with you.
You get crap everywhere.
That's true. That's true. So you know, you don't really have much time to mix with comedians there, to be honest. You know, everybody come down their gig and go, you know. So, you know, but some people are nicer than others, I would just say, you know.
How am I?
Well, if you invited me for a podcast, you're already nice. And I like your gigs. I like your little place where you do this, your hecklers, you know, because there are not too many people, but atmosphere is so good, you know. You have very good MC as well. That lady, she's really great fun.
God.
And that's why it happens, because she makes the atmosphere very relaxed, and you can go, you know. So yeah, you know, it's all depends.
She's incredible. Like, she's one of the best hosts that I've come across in comedy. Definitely one of the best I've come across. I don't know. She just has that energy about her.
Interesting. I want to try. Yeah, that's right. You know, so she make people getting involved and listening, you know, which is very important, you know. I want to try myself MC, but because of the language, of course, it's a bit more difficult for me. But I really can talk for non-stop. But whether I'm understood, and also whether I can bring subjects which are interesting for British audience all the time, that's another question, of course.
But what you said there is quite interesting. But there's that. If you MC in an English comedy show, does that make you more better than? Let me be careful and be careful. I'm going to be very accurate in what I say, because one thing that I've found, because you have the challenge of it, like it's, you know, me, I'm born here, I've got all the advantages, and if I MC, I've got all these things there. But if you have the challenge of being from another nation, and you have to adapt to it, does that stand you better in the long haul, being from having to face the challenge of adapting to another culture, another place, rather than having it sort of handed?
It all depends, you know. It's you can't just say for always, you know. It's like the same like with a gig. You don't know why the same gig worked today so well. You just make them all falling from laughter, and next day, you know, doing the same thing, it's just audience numb or judging and not really reacting. It's the same with MC, I think. If you find your people who like what you're doing and they're connecting to you, well, I don't know. I mean, I just want to try. I just like to try things. I even done some pub quiz.
How was that?
Just something different, you know. Oh, you know, just to go and run. Somebody asked me, you know, run pub quiz with a lot of jokes and stuff like this. But I did realize quickly that some things I don't know. I couldn't even pronounce some names from some movies, which was in 1960s. You know, how they, you know, obviously the audience helped me to pronounce them because I never heard about them, you know. But they had their fun, which they wouldn't have maybe with somebody else. So they were pretty happy. But I like challenge. So MC is just something different to do, and whether you can manage to do it, you know, it also helps in your bigger shows to connect with audience at the beginning and to make them, bring them on board with you, you know. So everything is interesting. I like challenge. I like to try different things in life. I'm also writing second book, so I'm just was thinking today Probably it would be called the pussy from the USSR. Yeah. Well, I had one Adventures of an Old Cunt. I think Cunt actually stopped me being on BBC and everywhere because they just faint when they hear cunt. I don't know why. It's just gates to life. We do say dick, prick about male stuff. So what's wrong with cunt? I mean, for me, it's nothing. It's just, the place which gives life and pleasure. Well, maybe not to everybody. I don't know about you.
You don't want to. You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want to.
I mean, I accept everybody. Everybody live their own life and enjoy. I don't care how people do it, and with whom they do it. But I'm just saying that for a lot of people, it's still less and less getting pleasure, of course, from men, but still there are some. So why it's so wrong?
On the odd occasion when it happens, yes, I do. But on the odd occasion.
Yeah. Anyway, so my next book, The Pussy from the USSR, and I want to bring a lot of stuff. Why are you laughing? Yeah,
well, I think I'm going to get cancelled as well. I'm going to get cancelled now.
Why?
I don't know. I'm going to get people on
who are listening to that. You're afraid.
Oh,
you're afraid of being cancelled.
You're misogynist. You're
I just
this,
did podcasts with American people, and they loved what I was saying. I was saying much more about my book.
So you meant, yeah, I'll be honest, Helen, you mentioned something that was very interesting, and it's something that do you know Konstantin Kizin from trigonometry?
Not really. Maybe it sounds different from, I never was good at math, to be honest.
Oh no, but it's a podcast that's quite famous by two comedians.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't know. No.
Okay, but one of the things he said, you mentioned this before the podcast, like some of the things that we're getting offended by in the cancel culture that goes on, you look at and you go, what the hell are you going about? Look, I'm from the USSR. Your skin has to be like thick as hell. What are things that you've encountered here where you're like, what the fuck are you getting offended by this? This is like a little bee sting, and you're acting like it's the worst thing in the world.
Well, but by everything, you just read newspaper every day, and people in universities, cut programs of some literature, even Jane Austen or somebody else, because people might get offended. Somebody was not behaving in the literature of early 19th or 18th century correctly. They put some little things near the paintings in galleries now to make people not to be upset because this painting was bought money earned from slavery. Well, 18th century was a time of slavery. That's how the society was built. For me, it's all found laughable. I can't even understand that people ignore history. It's history. You can't go back and think why our ancestors 3,000 years ago were eating each other, or eating, human flesh. That's how it was sometimes, that time, It's, but now they're trying to execute everything, make life so, without any twist, without any worries, without anything. And actually, it brings more worries to everybody, and more people getting upset of being cancelled or being misunderstood. You're now afraid to say anything. I can't even say I have black shoes now. All my shoes are gray now, I suppose. Honestly, it's just becoming ridiculous. So we didn't have that actually kind of USSR. I think you actually went more extreme than we did in the USSR. That wasn't a worry at all.
So what are things that you've had in like USSR that are, that are very brutal and that you've had to deal with? But what's like a situation you've come across where someone said that they are super offended by something and you've laughed at it?
Well, first of all, in USSR, we were not allowed to travel anywhere, okay, and abroad. And if I did come to Britain actually, because I had my PhD and I came to Edinburgh Festival like a critic. Actually, I was art critic. You didn't know that as well. Anyway, but for that you need to be a member of Komsomol, and you need to spy on your person, on your neighbor. We came 2 people, and I knew I was not spying. I was not asked to report on her, so I knew she was the one. So whenever you travel with somebody, if it's not you, then somebody who is with you now anywhere is writing about you, whether you're correct, and so on. Well, I think it's come here like now here as well. People not exactly asked to do it, but they do. They complain about anything. If you just done some wrong gesture, now I remember this story about a football coach kissed a young girl or something. Was it football or rugby?
Yeah.
And she complained. She just wanted to show her happy and victory, and she brought all this problem. Why did he kiss her? I mean, unbelievable. It's just, for me, I don't understand, you know. We didn't have actually had that problems, but I'm saying spying on each other, reporting on each other, a culture of your neighbors spying on you and reporting that you've done something wrong. But actually, it's coming to that, more or less, in this country. Whatever you said, whatever you've written, whatever something behind you, you know, I've been doing some comments about something. I mean, okay, somebody have some on some pages with comedians, and I understand that somebody have different opinion. I have my opinion, okay? But why then to abuse me? When I just called somebody that I thought that I'm not going to name a politician, which I said this politician was doing something wrong. I was called fascist straight away. Why? Well, you know, you have your opinion, I have my opinion, but it's became in Britain impossible. People don't tolerate if you actually have different opinion on anything in this country, and that's come from the USSR because you couldn't have any other opinion. You always say communists are fine, socialism is fine, our leaders are great. You can't, you could, if you say something different, you're out. You're just basically cancelled. You know, you just cancelled. You can't go anywhere. You can't get a job. You can't do anything. That's where you came from. Came from the USSR to you. You learned from us. You borrowed from us.
So you let me know if you want this to be included or not, and it's all good. But I noticed, you know, what happened with Russell Brand and like that dispatches program, a lot of people were saying the same sort of things. But I noticed that when you were posting on the whole thing, you said something a little bit different, and you said that your view was completely different to what a lot of comedians were saying on Russell Brand.
Well, I think I was misunderstood completely about it. Basically, what I was trying to say, I would never complain about something that happened to me 20 years ago. I want to live today, you know? And if something really horrible happened to me 20 years ago, I would dealt with it then. And that's my opinion. And the second, what I said, until somebody proved guilty, you cannot really destroy a person, whether it's Russell Brand or somebody else. I believe, you know, until you're proved guilty, you should not be portrayed on every newspaper and destroyed his career, you know, whoever it is, you know. That's what I said. And that's my opinion. I don't think I said anything wrong about these people, but I was attacked like, you know, crowds, you know, into me, you know. It's just unbelievable. Somebody said, oh, I want to let anybody know what you said. That's exactly what they done in the USSR. Spying and reporting on each other. So bloody hell. This is just, you know, like I'm coming back to the socialist world of these neighbors who are looking and watching. I just have my opinion. I didn't say anything it was bad. I just believe also that basically if something happened, how can you prove what happened 20 years ago? You know? And why didn't you deal with it? If it's a child, I absolutely agree with it. But again, I absolutely also accept that somebody is different. They do it. It's their doing, you know, let them do it. But I'm saying I wouldn't. I had horrible things happen to me, you know, but I just buried it. I don't want to go. But actually, somebody recently connected me and was trying to talk to me about that particular thing. And I said, no, I buried it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want to live today. Why? Imagine for 20 years or 30 and 25 years, somebody, you've been living in this horror and you still want to do in it, you know, it actually burns you. So saying that, I actually wanted to protect people who are still kind of in agitation, because that's what called cancer in a way, when people so worried about something. Just live your life. I mean, do you really want to punish somebody? You know, I'm talking about Russell Brand particularly, not at all, but anybody. You need to be happy yourself. If it gives you happiness, you think if you went for 20 years punishing somebody, gosh, I don't envy these people. What life they live, you know, if they've been in such an anguish. And I also, they say police didn't look at them attentively. Yes, there's some weakness in English police, British police. But I'm sure if there would be something serious, people will look. But you know what? It was different time 25 years ago. Different culture. And people, a lot of people much more free. These days, you're even afraid to send anybody a box of chocolate because they will say, oh, you're pursuing them. It's harassment, you know. But 25 years ago, it was different culture. You know, when I came to this country, people were much more vivid. It was kind of, people hug you, they jump you, they might even do this to your teeth, and everybody just laughed about it, you know. Now, they remember 25 years, somebody done it to them or slapped their bum, and this is a crime. And by the way, I watched only some extracts of this film, you know, which was on news. I didn't watch the whole documentary about Russell Brand, but I watched bits and pieces. And I also was astonished that actually it wasn't a documentary, because there was no real people. There was all actors. And that actually shows that there's not much proof. Yeah. It was actors playing and talking. Well, that's what I saw. And again, I don't see the whole film. I saw the extract on documentary on GB News and other programs and stuff like that. And it was not, and they were saying it's not actually a person talking, it's an actress. So I don't want to discuss this particular. I mean, but I mean, the attitude, the attack on me. And somebody said, I said, okay, when you go to God, and she replied to me, Bible is shit and God is crap.
Oh.
And I thought you were saying that I mean, yeah, just on this text talking about Russell Brand. Exactly, that's one of the women there. And I said, do you know that you're now upsetting millions of Christians saying that? But they don't care. They can upset, but when somebody done something to them, they feel being upset even more. You know what I mean? That doesn't work to me. If you don't want to be abused and upset, and you're upset about being abused, why do you upset million people calling Bible crap? One comedian, I recently heard her on TikTok. She was saying Christ was just a homeless troublemaker.
Ooh.
I just blocked her. I mean, and bloody hell, I think Christ was troublemaker. How dare you? Actually, this is upsetting millions of people. I'm Christian, but I only thought about God like and temples and the churches like architecture marvels, But when I had cancer, I actually went to church and I asked the God, and since then I do believe. I promised. I went to St. Paul Cathedral because I was guiding actually there, and I stood near the icon, which was a Greek Orthodox icon, and I begged God to help me, and I promised I would be better in my life, and I felt that He kind of heard me. This was my feeling, believe me. And before I wasn't believing in God, and He did like this, and I knew I would be fine. And I promise that I will be. I'm now supporting cancer research financially. I do other also some cancer institutions and stuff since then, and doing my best for people in my way, But I wouldn't call anybody like that, a Christ homeless troublemaker, bloody hell, and putting it on TikTok. And this is comedian. So obviously, different point of view. They don't want to be abused themselves, but they're okay to abuse icons which are worshipped by millions of people in this world. Very much like in USSR.
You said that you're going to do but it's plastered over a different sort of way, in that it's virtual signaling, as people say. That makes them look good and saying that you can't say this and that. Whilst in Russia it was very much, you can't say this because or is it the same thing? I don't know. What was is the way, the end point the same? You want to limit what people say, but is the way in which we do it
not just saying
different?
that people didn't like my opinion. They don't need to abuse me and saying how horrible I am. It's just I accept people having different opinion, and obviously I was not there to stop anybody to complain about anybody. It's up to them. I just say that it's me who wouldn't do it, because I want to live today. I don't want to dig into my 25 years past. And believe me, I had much more horrible story than what they're talking about Russell Brand and abuse. Believe me, I had knives into me, but I don't want to remember it. I just want to live. I had an accident organized by KGB to kill me, by a lorry getting into my car to frighten me. But I don't want to talk about it. Somebody approached me recently because I'm writing a book about somebody to talk about it. And I said, no, I buried it. I don't want. So when all these people complain about it, I find this, live today. Why do you need to spend your time on that? But again, I'm not saying them not to do it. I'm saying that I wouldn't. I don't like punishing people. If somebody punished doesn't give me satisfaction, you know what I mean? My satisfaction that I do something, achieve, and I have people laughing at me at the gig, or I'm flying the plane, and I just see these beautiful in spring, yellow colors of, flowers and stuff, and I feel orgasmic. That makes me happy. Not somebody who is suffering because I punished him. I don't want to go to police, to report, to dig into this pain. I don't want to. But again, I'm saying it's about me. I'm not telling other people not to do it. I'm just saying what I wouldn't do. I also find it's very difficult to prove what's been 25 years ago, without any, just a word against one word, It's by law, and people, dirtiest names, a lot of people suffer. There's some people now suing some people in America or somewhere else for doing that, because you destroy a person, but actually there's no proof. It's just your word against somebody else.
Yeah.
And when they're saying, there's 20 words, in Soviet Union, that's exactly what they did. Exactly what they did. If somebody wanted to sink somebody, 5 or 6 people will go and write about you. It's actually happened to me. I swam out of this shit. I was supposed to go to America because I came in this country because on the British Council scholarship, but I was Americanist. I was studying American art, and I was supposed to go to America. But I have papers from my close friend who written to me, to KGB, to our Communist Party, and to Institute of Art where I was working. Luckily, the director of the institute was my friend, the friend of my father. So she actually gave me this letter. And letter, of course, was anonymous, but I knew by the text who written it. So I had all this stuff, all this shit, This is the life of the USSR. Why is it coming here? It's horrifying.
But yeah. But there will be a change in it. Like this is the period we are in now, but it will change.
I'm very disappointed in Rishi. I don't hide that I used to support conservatives, but I'm not happy with them at all. I think Rishi is a pussy, and he's fucking is, because he can't do anything. He's afraid of everything. He just don't do right thing. He's just nowhere. It's not right. It's just not right. I mean, there's nowhere to go. It's just everybody afraid for themselves to do every step, right or left or whatever, and things are rolling in the wrong way for Britain. That's what I think.
I'm not convinced on either party, to be honest. Like on Labour or Conservatives, I'm not convinced of either of them. I think not to get political.
Unfortunately, I know
that
comedians are mostly.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, because I've been through USSR, and I would never go to Labour because I know socialism doesn't work. You just produce parasites, people who don't work and want to live and suck from the government more and more. We have 1.5 million people who don't want to work just because they have a little problem. I worked a week after I had cancer operation, major cancer operation, because I always felt work is my savior, and it was. So for me, all this looks, strange. How many people on benefits, not really doing much, and all that stuff. We didn't have any benefits in the USSR. Nothing. People survived. They worked. Recently I put some clip. I mean, again, they probably hate me listening all that, but I'm honest. I don't care if they hate me, because the right people will like me, people whom I like. I put a little clip about NHS saying that is actually we're paying for the NHS, and not only for us, but also for people who don't pay for anything, those who are on benefits. Not actually blaming them, but just saying that. But then we don't get any service on NHS. We had to go and get private services. That's what happened to me. Otherwise, I would be dead. But a woman attacked me, and she reposted my clip, and she said, "Oh, you're saying you have better advances than me." I said, "Darling, you probably," she's not working. I said, "Oh, you're probably over 65. You're retired." I said, No, I'm 45. She said, "But I have MS." I said, "Darling, you have 3 million followers, so you can manage your media pretty well. So why don't you work from home on Zoom, on telephone? You can perfectly work looking at what scale of media contacts you're doing for free. It means somebody else is working for you, paying you, and you're just doing it at your leisure." She shut up. She shut up. She shut up. She shut up. Because it's true. So she's absolutely capable to work. Maybe physically, maybe she can't drive and go to work, but mentally, she's perfectly able to work through Zoom or answering phone, like for British Airways or whoever, banks and stuff like this. She doesn't want to, because she's got nanny state. They're paying her anyway. So she's doing all job for free to entertain herself and her followers. Not actually, so somebody else at the same time working for her. So this is, but I can understand everybody in politics. They just worry about being re-elected. They don't want to lose voters. It's not good. Not good.
There's people that aren't brave to do what's right, even if they're going to offend people.
Look, I can't, I'm not afraid to be cancelled, but I don't want to say everything, because I do not want to upset your listeners as well, because I have something to say, but I'm not ready yet. And I probably won't, because I'm not going to want to go to politics. I just want slowly to enjoy my downsizing to an urn and enjoy my life. I'm not going to fight. I'm not a fighter, anymore. I think, it's time passed. But it's sad, because my feeling is as if I'm actually going back to USSR. I came out for freedom of speech, and there's no freedom of speech.
Where would you say there is freedom of speech now?
Well, at the moment, I don't think anywhere, but I think probably more in other countries. I don't know. America also shut up. I can't believe that they can. Well, I don't want to say anything, but I'm sure they can. They should have done better. We don't want any, antiquity at such age, because whatever when you even reach my age, I'm not saying about 80, that there's some things physical which don't allow you to do as much as you can. I mean, the human capacity is limited to certain time. So, but I don't know. America also very woke everywhere now. Yeah, I find it's horrible now. I mean, actually, you're a white man. If you're a straight man, particularly, you have trouble now in this country to find good jobs. It's true. It's the same in America. Yeah, they're looking everywhere for black woman, possibly colored woman, lesbian, gay man, of color, everywhere in America, even more than here. That's true. I know it. No, not from words. I know. Yeah, I know. So I'm not trying to go anywhere. I'm not looking to go anywhere. I love Britain. I lived here 35 years, and it became my country. But I'm very upset of looking at what's going on.
You mentioned it before the show, and you want to sort of show how the USSR, so how Britain is becoming more and more like the USSR. What your plans with the show to do that, or do you not want to discuss that?
No, it's basically will be based a bit connected to my own story of life, obviously, and saying what's actually happened in the USSR. Just and trying to bring parallels. Like I came here for freedom of touching, but I think Russell Brand took up all spots available for all of us. Things like this. Sort of to bring up. It's all taken now. Otherwise, you'll be under the fire. No freedom of touching. There you are. This and that what you can do in a comedy. Obviously, but yeah, I'm not going to bring a revolution, of course. But I have a lot of already lines written, and they just every day I open newspaper, I find something new for my story. It's just like crashing.
And I know you mentioned before that you got your son to sort of, he's a composer and to help direct it. Are you planning on going to the Edinburgh Fringe this year, doing an hour show? Or are you going to spread it across the globe? You're going to go to Melbourne, or you're going to go?
Well, I mean, I actually inquired about Melbourne and others, but you need to have a working visa, and this is all kind of quite, every of this Toronto festival as well. I was looking in Canada because my son actually very often in Canada, and you need a working visa to do it. I know some comedians do it without visas, but I wouldn't risk, because I don't want to have, a veto not to go ever in these countries again. If you're caught, you're just cut forever. And I find it's too much trouble, probably. I don't know. I will look at it, but maybe not this. Actually, I do want to perform in New York Cellar.
The Comedy Cellar.
Comedy Cellar. That's what my dream is. And I've been actually quite pushed in America. Well, I'm not saying anything, but that's of the thing which I would love to do. But I don't know if I can still do it. It's maybe a long way to go.
It is an amazing comedy club, the Comedy Cellar. I remember I saw Andrew Schultz there, and he did this bit about building the pyramids, and he made a joke about Mexicans doing it. I'm not going to say it or butcher it, but it was brilliant. And it was funny in some ways, because you book it online with the Comedy Cellar, but you pay as you leave, which I find quite interesting. And then, so I spoke to someone on the podcast there's two comics on the podcast that go to the Cellar quite regularly. So there's Nico White, who did comedy when he was 14, and then there is Matt Ruby. So Matt Ruby told me that you need two people that are professional comedians in the Comedy Cellar to recommend you to get in with them. That's what they said to me. Just keep it between you and the listeners. Don't tell anyone else.
Interesting, very interesting.
It's New York is very brutal, very straight up, like business-like. In here, people complain about bringer gigs. Yes, I don't necessarily agree with them either. But in America, they're even more further down on making money, and we don't give a shit.
I know they don't make any money. They do it for a name.
Yeah, it's brutal. They're so brutal in America. I hear in LA, people complain about the paying comedy here. It is pretty shit. But in there, it's even worse. Like if you go to the big clubs, they only pay $30 or something like that. It really is even worse. That's why so many of them are coming here, because at least there's some sort of element of pay, even though it's definitely isn't enough to live on.
Well, they usually comedians, they do other stuff, like
Yeah,
voice
nearly.
overs, things, and like working in acting and stuff like this.
Yeah, 100%.
No, it's just it would be nice to have American audience, because it seems to be they love me. Even in Edinburgh, when I have Americans, they were my best laughing people. When I have people from Birmingham, 11 of them sitting like this. Sorry.
Oh.
Americans was always, whenever I have audience from the United States, they're always involved. They're open. They want to know. They want to support you. I never had a problem with them. They were interested. They were buying my books as well. They were just kind of intrigued. They give it a go. They're partners, their audience.
So, if you had the opportunity right now, someone from America came over now and they said, "Yo, Helen Prior, we like what you do over in the UK. We need you to come down and say that we're gonna sign you up. We're gonna put you in the talk shows with like Craig Ferguson, James Corden. You gotta leave the UK."
All right.
Would you shake their hand and say, "I'm gonna go, baby," or something?
Well, I'll go for a month. I will go maybe for a month. I like adventures, but I'm not moving. First of all, I'm married. I love my husband. I love my life here. I love Britain, so I'm not will not be nicked forever. But like an adventure, yes, why not? Even if they don't invite me, I might invite myself. If I want to go, I custom to the things myself very often. So I never wait for. I'm not a Cinderella who waits for somebody, a fairy, to make it. I'm a fairy.
That's a good guy. So Barry Katz, if you're listening, take Helen Prior to America, okay?
Yeah, if you are, yes, please. I love Americans, honestly. They just kind of, even the way they laugh. They don't. This is West Midlands was doing to me. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, okay. And to anyone that's listening out now, if they're a young comedian, or if you're listening to Helen Prior and she was 20 years old and she said she wanted to do comedy, what would you say to her right now?
What do they say? Pack up, Granny. Give her some stage space. Oh, you don't need youngsters to worry much. I'm not going to be too long on your way, but give me some space too.
What would what would be, so with everything that's happened in life, if you were to advise someone as a performer to get themselves before they get into the performing arts, what's one thing you would say to them?
Well, I think, first of all, what I know, if somebody wants a young person to get into that, well, basically life experience matters. Sometimes I feel that people don't actually have anything to say because they don't have, or you come to some performances of a young person, he just do little jokes about this and that. There's no story. There's no life experience to bring in. You know what I mean? So I think it's very important for comedian to actually become somebody else before, try life, to actually live life. Then you can bring it to other people. Because I find it very frustrating. I listen to a lot of young people and I feel behind that they have nothing much to say. Just little jokes here and there. There's no life behind it. So live life, as I would say, And also in Britain, of course, comedy, I would always advise young people to have second job, not to put 100% on comedy. It's really a lottery, because a lot of people, I'm not going to say I heard on professional level, not really better than others, but it's a lottery. They just got management and they put to gigs. So if you don't get there with all your talents, you might be wasted on open mics, like often I do.
Yeah, it is. And is there anything you would change about comedy?
No, I mean, why should I change? I find my own angle. I like, people like Gervais, for example. I like, my comedians, my kind of comedy. Sometimes I see something I don't like. It doesn't mean I'm saying bad. It's just not for me. Sometimes people, oh, it was fantastic. I said, yes, it was fantastic for you, but not for me. Comedy is different. It's quite big scale art, There is storytelling, there's kind of more cabaret stuff, more even circus stuff in comedy. So everybody find their own way, and they should do what they're best at and what they believe in. And of course, nobody can satisfy everybody. There will be always audience for you, whatever you're doing. But it's not always that for me, you know what I'm saying? So when sometimes I dare to say something, not critical, but just say this wasn't what I like. People attack you. They think you're trying to destroy. No, what I'm trying to say is a space for everybody. Different taste. Like, some marry women, some marry men. Some want now be with dogs instead. That's fine. It's their life. You know what I mean?
Could I meet your dog for a date? No.
Oh, they all left now. Oh, one is sleeping. One is sleeping somewhere now. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the big one is out somewhere. I had to go. If you want me, I can bring her, but it will take time. Or maybe you want to say something behind my back. No, it's okay.
Oh. So
I'll just open the room and see if she's there. Just a minute. Anna, come here. I want to see you. Come here.
Oh.
Here she is. Come here. I said, come here. Oh, big girl. Come on. Go up. Go show. Up you go. Come on. No, I can bring this one to you.
Hello, doggy.
Here we are.
Hello, Afghan hound.
Her name is Wanda.
You got nice eyes.
She's beautiful, Afghan hound. She's beautiful. My husband obviously likes blondes, but she's stupid like many blondes, except me, of course.
What?
She is 4 years old, but she's still sometimes creeping in the middle of the house.
Nah, that's not right, is it? But
Yeah, no, but we still love her. She's gorgeous, of course, girl.
So,
but stupid. And the other one is basically castrated male mongrel, but he's so clever and jolly. Lovely. He's my favorite. I like the little one. He's not so beautiful, but he's charming, and he licks my legs sometimes. That's the only pleasure I get from men, even castrated mongrel.
So
she came back to me. She came back to me. My mother.
Hello, Afghan. So anyone that's listening back now, how do they find out about you? And do you have anything to plug on the podcast, Helen?
How they can follow me, of course, on my Instagram is very simple, Helen.Prior, Prior. They can follow me on TikTok. I'm Funny Art Mama. I'm definitely mama and definitely funny. And Funny Art Mama, one word. They can also follow me on Facebook, Helen.Prior94. I am not 94 years old. I'm 94 kilograms. But anyway, in my dreams. Yeah, and on OnlyFans account. Joke.
I was going to subscribe, Helen. Sorry.
Well, who knows? I was told a lot of comedians doing now OnlyFans, so it's not impossible that I will not go there as well, just for fun, to try to see what I can do.
Fair enough.
For those who like cougars, do you like cougars?
I like everything.
Well, darling, digging in antiquity was always well rewarded, so that's not too bad.
Good. So, guys, that's been
Helen Prior. Shovel into the grave, to have the whole Russian entire Russian Empire in depth.
That's quite.
That's
a
for
lot
the
of
OnlyFans. For OnlyFans.
Guys. Yes. So you know where the OnlyFans is, guys. I hope you enjoyed it.
But then you had to pay some money for it, and I said, well, no. So far, everything else is free. I like my freebies. There you are.
Well, the OnlyFans is to be awaited at some point in the future, and I'll plug it in, guys, for anyone that likes it. But I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Well, it's good. I don't know whether did you have any comments from your audience? Do they hate me? Did they throw some eggs into? you.